Can you guess which contestant from season 4 said these famous words? I was in season 4 of Hell's Kitchen. Yes, Christina may have won, but I will always be one of the most popular ever. Any guesses? It's Matt Siegel, the self-proclaimed true culinarian. Well, on the show, he was one of the worst, which is why he's on this list, even before the season kicked off. Remember when sous chef Scott caught him taking burnt salmon making its way to the pass?
It's a little...
Why would you give it to me if it's burnt?
It's understandable for mistakes to happen, but what's unacceptable was Ben's attitude afterward. Instead of owning up to the error, he seemed to downplay the issue.
You know, perfect medium salmon, and he sent it back. Had a little...
And one can even argue that it was not a mistake at all, but deliberate sabotage. You see, Ben was made of something else. He didn't care that the salmon was raw, didn't care about the customers, and didn't care about Chef Ramsay's standards. Despite claiming he could cook a salmon, his subsequent excuses regarding unfamiliar cooking techniques highlighted his lack of adaptability and willingness to learn.
I can cook a salmon, chef. Yes, I can. Just a lot of pressure, different kitchen.
Yay, like that was gonna fly. But wait, he once again brought another salmon to the pass, and well, it was raw.
I've got a fucking headache.
Ben!
Rather than displaying a shred of remorse or accountability for his mistake, Ben's nonchalant comment showcased a shocking level of indifference and disregard for the gravity of the situation. Just a laid-back comment like it was no big deal.
Maybe a little under.
It's pink!
Like, seriously? Chef Ramsay had enough and gathered the whole team for a serious talking to. You can say he reached his boiling point due to Ben's blatant carelessness.
Get in there! Let's put one shit mess with another shit mess. Get in there!
When sending the chefs away, Chef Ramsay didn't mince words, branding Ben as this. His insult hinted at a misguided belief that Chef Ramsay was testing his commitment to the culinary world.
I honestly think deep down that this chef's trying to test me.
His disregard for hygiene was not just unpleasant, but downright disrespectful to the communal space they shared. Her own bone to pick with Ben regarding his cleanliness, or mimicking Roseanne, showing a complete lack of maturity and respect for his fellow chefs.
Hey, you guys get in the fucking kitchen and get these fucking dishes in.
Yes, real mature, you dirty pig. Anyway, for both teams in the 5th service. But wait, here's the cherry on top. Chef Ramsay made sure it wasn't some swanky delivery gig. Nope, it was in a tacky, cheap 3-wheel delivery cart. But hey, the 7th service was a bigger clusterfuck. Right off the bat, on the first ticket, Ben decided to take a little vacation in La La Land. Chef Ramsay had to step in, unleashing a lecture about Ben's laid-back demeanor.
Do you know what? Hey,
What's up?
you are so fucking sad. Hey, every time I ask you something...
Yep, that's right, Ben was apparently more lifeless than an inanimate object. After receiving that wake-up call, Ben finally decided to join the land of the living and respond to a ticket. Chef Ramsay, in his rare moments of gratitude, thanked Ben for his delayed participation and even dropped a sarcastic comment.
It takes a little time to get adapted to it. And that's it.
But guess what? Ben's fumble fest was far from over. I guess Chef Ramsay also hated Matt with the same burning passion in this season. And honestly, he kinda had it coming. He's infamous for serving the worst signature dish ever in the history of the show.
Is it?
I call it exotic tartare because...
And yet, he managed to make it to the Black Jackets. Okay, pay close attention to this. The dish had raw venison, diverse scallops, caviar, and grated white chocolate. Yes, white chocolate, y'all. Hell hath no fury like Ramsay scorned. So, obviously it didn't sit well with him when Matt almost burned the kitchen down.
Well, she's gonna set this place on fire. What the fuck are you trying to do?
Let's admit, he was more of an obstacle, a liability, causing more trouble than help. Christina, not a flex, Matt. And then, in episode 5, when he served up his first dish of scallops and quail eggs, the scallops turned out rubbery, leading Chef Ramsay to draw a hilarious parallel.
They're like ice hockey pucks. Fucking get out!
He broke the yolk during his second attempt, and Bobby had to take over from him. He was basically a liability. Now, here's a challenge for you. I want you to listen carefully to Chef Ramsay calling out the order and see if you can drop it in the comments below. But here's the most important part of the challenge. No cheating.
1 minute to the window, 2 ribeye, 1 filet mignon, 1 Wellington.
Now, quick, write it down in the comments. All done? Go back and listen to it again if you want to, because you might be surprised how much you got wrong. Finished with my little exercise? Good. Now, let's be honest, how many of you got the entire order right? Was it hard? Well, it was for Matt.
A filet mignon, Wellington.
And believe me, it was embarrassing to watch.
Oh my god. Hey, idiot.
Beef? Oh yeah, Chef Ramsay was about to have some with him, but that wasn't even the half of it. The whole service was a clusterfuck for Matt. Now come on, raise your hands if you believe he was the worst black jacket ever. Anyway, now take a look at what happened in the 10th dinner service when Matt found himself stationed on meat alongside Christina. As Chef Ramsay called out the first ticket, one of his pans flared up out of the blue. In an attempt to extinguish the flames, he took an unconventional approach by blowing on it, obviously bringing the pan dangerously close to his face.
Oh, fuck me. Hands on fire, man. Fuck me. What is this?
Not exactly my first instinct, but you do you, dude. Chef Ramsay then instructed both him and Christina to communicate with Bobby and Corey. However, Matt seemed to miss the memo.
Hello?
2 filet mignon, 1 Wellington.
The troubles continued when his order of ribeye was sent back for being undercooked. But the challenges didn't end there, though. Chef Ramsay later caught Matt sneaking a taste of one of his Wellingtons, and a Wellington isn't exactly something you can taste for seasoning. To add to the woes, when Chef Ramsay asked him to repeat an order, he forgot again. Sometime later, Matt sent out raw Wellingtons and overcooked filet mignons. And so, Chef Ramsay summoned everyone to come and have a little hands-on experience with the disaster.
Fucking raw, and that's fucking what? Look at the color of it.
As if even that wasn't enough, when Matt stumbled over one of Chef Ramsay's questions, it put the big man in an even worse mood. And what did Matt do? He excused himself to check the ticket on the hot plate, but Chef Ramsay wasn't gonna sit around and let him have the run of the kitchen. Matt nonchalantly shared that he was busy getting an earful, only for Chef Ramsay to overhear him.
Waiting for his stuff in the...
Overcooked. Now you're saying I'm getting yelled at.
However, when confronted about the overcooked meat, Matt skillfully shifted blame to his teammates. Matt's woes continued when he impulsively grabbed a hot pan with his bare hand, apparently forgetting how heat works. Yeah, that's what he says.
Who the hell put a hot plate here?
Matt is fried.
When Chef Ramsay called out the next ticket, Christina sought a time estimate from everybody's favorite crybaby. And when Corey pressed him for the same thing, Matt hesitated before settling on 3 minutes. Once again, Matt attributed the confusion to his migraine when Chef Ramsay started asking some serious questions, producing a headache pill and swallowing it right in the kitchen.
Not funny, I got a medical. Alright, I'll work with it.
Definitely didn't have that on my HK bingo card back in 2016, I'll tell you that much. When Chef Ramsay summoned Matt forward, he revealed that he had been battling a migraine since the first encounter with him, and even argued that he couldn't feel anything in his hands. Unconvinced, Chef Ramsay took matters into his own hands, literally.
I've had one ever since you walked in here. What I just told you 2 minutes ago, you completely forgot.
Now, that was something. During the Sweet 16 dinner service, everyone's all set to send out the mom's dish, but hold on, Matt had a rather unusual problem. His fish was still stuck in the oven. But Bobby wasn't having it. He was pretty ticked off, telling Matt he needed to pick up the pace. Chef Ramsay himself jumped in, reminding Matt to hustle, while even Ben was asking for a time check. Finally, the halibut for the mom's dish made its debut and got the green light. But here's where the twist comes in. A few moments later, it was back on the pass. Wondering why? Well, you guessed right. It was raw. Chef Ramsay was boiling over with frustration, schooling Matt on the spot for the blunder.
Matt is fried.
Send me home.
Now, let's fast forward a bit. Matt was giving it another shot, sending out the mom's dish again. But guess what? It was still raw. And that's the last straw for Bobby. He was so fed up that he literally shoved Matt out of the way and took over the halibut. Of course, Chef Ramsay wasn't pleased. He schooled Matt again, asking him to take charge of his station. However, Matt wasn't taking it well. He was all fired up.
Yes, chef!
Thank you.
I can handle my station.
In hindsight, it wasn't just his attitude that was salty. Now, remember episode 9? During the dinner service, Matt was in charge of the appetizer station. His first pasta dish turned out too salty, and Chef Ramsay had everyone taste it before telling him to start over. As the appetizers were being served, a pasta dish came back undercooked, prompting Chef Ramsay to ask for a quick refire. Unfortunately, 2 more pasta dishes were returned due to overly salty sauce, disappointing him. Finally, he found out the reason.
You're dripping sweat
Yes, chef.
into the pappardelle.
Yes, chef.
So much.
Just when things seemed to settle down, yet another pasta dish joined the return parade, this time for another reason. Chef Ramsay's exasperation reached its peak, and he enlisted the entire team to taste the lackluster dish. A strategic move by Corey saw Christina take over the appetizer station, effectively relegating Matt. After the switch, Matt took a shot at the garnish station, aiming for redemption. Unfortunately, his first attempt with Brussels sprouts missed the mark big time. Chef Ramsay himself deemed them disgusting. Matt owned up to the failure and apologized, but Chef Ramsay's patience was running thin.
That was disgusting.
Brussels sprouts weren't cooked.
Yet, Matt was determined not to be written off that easily. He refuted Chef Ramsay's assertion of giving up and vented his frustration by angrily tossing a pan aside. Corey stepped in to address his behavior, giving him a stern warning about the consequences of continuing in that manner. Their exchange escalated into an argument. Are you even surprised?
You're acting like a girl right now. You really are.
No, I'm not.
We can't cope with people like this. We cannot.
This clash led to Corey, for the second time at that service, removing Matt from a station. As time ticked away, the kitchen buzzed with Corey and Christina's seamless communication, churning out entrees like clockwork. Meanwhile, Matt was watching from the sidelines as the others excelled. Chef Ramsay, ever vigilant, took note of his inactivity and couldn't resist a sardonic congratulation, dubbing him as this.
Matt, take the bandana off. It's not The Simpsons, Homer.
You see, Matt just kept getting worse because in the very next service, we find him and Christina are tag teaming at the meat station. Chef Ramsay shouted out the first order, and guess what? A little fire show went ablaze in one of Matt's pans. Well, he did try to blow it out, but he held the pan super close to his face. Not the smartest move, right? Chef Ramsay stepped in, not holding back, and told Matt he was basically showering himself in oil and ordered him to toss the fiery pan into the sink. Chef Ramsay's got his eye on Matt like a hawk watching its prey, and Matt gets the message loud and clear. Now, let's further jump ahead a bit. Chef Ramsay was calling out orders left and right, and Matt had to repeat one of them, but guess what? He was struggling, stumbling over the words, and that set Chef Ramsay off. I mean, Matt was kept around for so long as a joke, right? He was unhygienic, he constantly underperformed, underdelivered, and committed major blunder. I am still scratching my head over the fact that he was a black jacket, aren't you? He left quite the impression on his teammates, but it was Petrozza who said it best.
Come on. You're acting like a girl right now. You really are.
No, I'm not.
All right, now moving on to the absolute worst contestant of the entire season.
All here to tell you something very important. And I mean very, very important.
I mean, Jason Underwood couldn't be a bigger loser if he tried. He's most definitely one of the incels who pay thousands of dollars to attend those weird alpha male boot camps. Oh, and he's definitely one of Chef Ramsay's favorite chefs. And I'm not being sarcastic here. I say this because Ramsay's kicked out more deserving chefs for even hinting at giving up because he sees it as being defeatist. Like this one right here.
Jessica, you've packed. You are not ready.
And well, you might remember this other instance as well.
Have you got the qualities to become a head chef at Lake Tahoe?
Yes, chef. No, chef, I don't.
You haven't?
Yeah, it's just totally unfair. Which brings me back to Jason. So why the hell wasn't he shown the door the moment he said he wanted to leave?
You want to go home?
Yeah.
You want to go home? That shit.
I mean, it was crystal clear he had zero passion left. And the dude didn't even want to stay in the first place.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm done. I'm done.
And forget about giving up, they didn't even have the caliber to stay. So here's my question to Mr. Ramsay. Why did you even let him continue with the service? See, I know a lot of you are diehard Ramsay fans, but sometimes his decisions just don't make sense to me. If at all anything, they're baffling. I mean, I still don't understand what on earth he saw in Jason.
You were gonna quit 2 minutes ago. That's it. There you go. Good.
Did Chef Ramsay not find him repulsive, or did he excuse his vile misogyny because he himself is somewhat like that? I mean, why was Jason allowed to be on the show and spew such venom on national TV is beyond me.
Snot. Fuck off.
Fun fact, Jason held it down as the sole contestant from Ohio for a whopping 12 seasons. Now, picture having this guy as the face of your state for that long. Yikes. And well, it stayed the same all the way until season 16 rolled around. And who decided to walk in? The hothead Coop. He actually had the nerve to bless the Hell's Kitchen community with his oh-so-charming opinions on going up against an all-girls team. So let's not brush off Jason's sexist remarks as mere jokes for drama, alright? Excusing that kind of behavior just doesn't fly. Whether it's hostile and overt, or more subtle and causal. Sexist comments have real-life damaging consequences for women in their personal and professional lives. And it's not like Jason had any redeemable cooking skills to back himself. Let's dive into how he did during the first service. When it was go time in the blue kitchen, Jason, who was supposed to handle appetizers, was nowhere to be found when Chef Ramsay fired up the first order. Instead of stepping up, he disappeared. Turns out, he was out back on the patio taking it easy and puffing away on a cigarette. This guy knew he couldn't compete. I mean, his lack of dedication and focus was a real letdown. He was just too laid back and uninterested to really give it his all in the competition. And hey, let's not forget that Chef Ramsay had to storm into the back just to get Jason back on track. And finally, Jason managed to send out his first risotto to the pass. But it wasn't good. Chef Ramsay had the guys taste it, and surprise, surprise, and they confirmed it was god-awful. Unfortunately, this mess led to a restart, and poor Dominic had to throw out his scallops because of it. 45 minutes into service, not a single dish had left their kitchen. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, even our favorite Jean-Philippe couldn't work his magic. I mean, a smile's great and all, but it's not gonna fill your belly, especially when Jason's over here grinding everything to a halt. He somehow managed to serve up a burnt risotto in the blue kitchen. Chef Ramsay wasn't having it though. He straight up ordered Jason to take a seat at the pass and taste his own mistakes. He deserved it. And apparently, he was ashamed of his performance. Yeah, probably the only statement that came out of his mouth I agree with. Now, let's turn our focus to what went down during the second service when Jason got into a heated argument with Bobby over firing scallops. Even though Ben and Petrosa tried to defuse the situation, Jason couldn't shake the feeling of being unfairly blamed for a mistake.
Bobby tells me to fucking fire his scallops for him. I hand him his scallop.
Because, you know, in his world, he's always the one who's been wronged. He's always whimpering like there's an interplanetary conspiracy against him. As attention turned to the main course, Chef Ramsay caught wind of a problem with Jason's halibut. It was served up raw straight from the hot plate.
Even from here, Jason.
Yes?
It looks raw.
Seems like he needed a reminder to keep quiet more often, huh? To fix things up, Chef Ramsay had Jason, Matt, and sous chef Scott get their hands dirty to sort out the problem. And then, to top it all off, a customer sent back a halibut cooked by Jason, swearing it was still raw. But of course, Jason wasn't having any of it, denying responsibility and spinning lies left and right. Chef Ramsay had had enough though, and gave him a good scolding before deciding to call it quits and shut down the restaurant.
And you're sending me raw fish, but it's fucking cold, it's fucking...
Can you believe this guy? The very next day, during the chicken cutting challenge, he strutted in with this misplaced confidence and boldly claimed that the men automatically had the advantage simply because, you know...
We're men.
Just, what do you want, a fucking medal?
What do you want me to fucking say?
Yep.
We're gonna win because we're men. This ain't the Dustin housekeeping challenge here.
But guess what? The women totally caught him off guard.
The girls surprised me.
Yes, chef.
They did good, but we're gonna win because we're fucking men.
Yet, despite the evidence before him, he stubbornly clung to his outdated beliefs, convinced that the men would come out on top. The irony of it all is, chef's kiss.
Hands off my desk, please. Holy mackerel.
Can you believe it? 2 of the portions ended up all messed up, and Ramsay was just as shocked as I was. I mean, I thought handling a knife was supposed to be in his DNA or something. Anyway, the men ended up losing the challenge. Later that evening, he found himself drawn in by the red team. Maybe he was blinded by the promise of a hot tub scene with Christina and Corey, or maybe it was just the thought of food and beer that got him hooked.
What's up, girl? How you doing?
Caught up in the heat of the moment, Jason spilled the beans on what was really going on within the men's team, blabbering away like a rat under interrogation.
Really? About what?
Oh, look at him, being such a stand-up guy. He didn't hesitate to throw his comrades under the bus, spilling the beans that most of his teammates were furious at poor Craig for messing up during the challenge. But, oh, it doesn't end there. Nope. He also made sure to toss some shade at Ben, making it clear he wasn't a fan of how he handled things.
Matt's already been crying. He's a little crybaby fucker. Fuck Ben, by the way.
Well, there goes the bro code out the window. And then, during the third service, Ramsay assigned Jason to the dessert station, giving him a humorous warning during the team lineup.
Don't eat any.
Okay, chef.
Yeah?
Yes.
What are the desserts?
But when Chef Ramsay grilled him about the desserts, Jason stumbled, unable to give accurate answers.
What is going on?
I don't have the desserts.
So, Chef Ramsay promptly sent him packing to the dorms, telling him to study up on the menu. An hour and a half later, Laros tried to get Jason back, but he was thinking about throwing in the towel because he didn't like all the attention from Chef Ramsay. Despite his doubts, Laros convinced him to come back and do his job.
Can't fucking do it.
Dude, don't say you can do it. Just fucking do it in the kitchen.
I know what.
When he got back in the kitchen, Chef Ramsay put Jason on the spot to list the desserts. Struggling and on the verge of giving up, Jason finally cracked, saying he wanted to go home. Chef Ramsay gathered the guys around Jason, asking if he wanted to keep going.
I know the menu. I
Just wanted to go home.
Yeah.
At first, Jason wanted to bail, but after some pep talk from Chef Ramsay, he pulled himself together, rattled off the desserts, and got back to work.
I'm done.
Dig deep, Jason.
He started making his first desserts without a real plan, insisting,
I don't have a clue on this earth what I'm doing. I hate desserts.
Yeah, because dessert making is totally a women's thing. Just like Jeffrey Adam Duff Goldman, Paul John Hollywood, Pierre Hermé, right? Jason, you are just insufferable. A whiny fuckwit. While preparing the creme brulees, Jason wasn't sure if they were ready. Laraz stepped in to give him some pointers, stressing the importance of trusting the process. To top it off, when he pulled his soufflés out of the convection oven, he joked that they looked more like stuck muffins. But when Chef Ramsay asked about the desserts, he didn't waste a second explaining the difficulties he faced.
Yes? What's happening with the desserts?
The soufflés are...
And that's when Jason came up with a brilliant idea.
I'm trying something new. I'm gonna put a little sugar and rub it around the rim and try to get that.
Oh, I'm so jealous of his brain. His suggestion caused a massive meltdown, and rumor has it Chef Ramsay is still banging his head over it.
That keeps him from sticking.
Can you believe it? Chef Ramsay was totally stumped. Fast forward to the deliberation phase, and Jason was already bracing himself for possible nomination, declaring he wasn't going down without a fight.
Put up tonight. I am gonna fight for it. I'm not gonna put my head down like some bitch.
When Petroza's nomination came up, Jason found himself right in the hot seat next to Vanessa from the red team. In his defense, he owned up to having a lot to prove and tried to brush off his nerves. He admitted he messed up with the desserts, but argued that he'd been quick to help out the guys. But Chef Ramsay wasn't buying it.
But I ran my ass off trying to help everybody today.
Now that's hitting the nail on the head. Finally, here comes the moment we've all been waiting for.
Jason, take off your jacket and leave Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, he definitely overstayed his welcome by about 3 episodes. In his exit interview, he had the nerve to suggest that Vanessa only made it through because she was emotional. Oh, sure, because emotional constipation is the true mark of manhood, right? There's no sugarcoating it. If you thought he was just putting on a show for TV, think again. Turns out, he's just as much of a pig in real life as his social media clearly shows. Since his time on Hell's Kitchen, he seems to have disappeared from the culinary world. According to his Twitter, where he shares posts from various right-wing commentators, he claims to be a wrestler now. And turns out, he's either busy advocating for police violence on US students, promoting or liking, reposting, and commenting on AI-generated provocative pictures of female politicians. And of course, he is also found engaging with porn bots on Twitter, I mean X. Jason is filthy, tweeting about wanting to have sex with animals and harassing girls online. I mean, just look at some of his tweets and tell me what you think. I mean, a lot of people watch these shows and could easily be influenced by his toxic ideas. Even if the producers somehow didn't know about his true colors, which, let's be real, seems impossible considering they must have sat through his confessionals, why didn't they call him out? Not speaking up is just as bad as condoning it. While surfing for more info about him on the net, I found something rather intriguing. Found that someone on the app recently confronted him for being a sexist jerk on the show. They also called him one of the worst persons to ever walk this earth. I found that someone on the app recently confronted him for being a sexist jerk on the show. They also called him one of the worst persons to ever walk this earth. And guess what? His response was so dismissive. I mean, just look at his reply. The only thing he could come up with was LOL, as if he just couldn't care less. Damn, how I hate that smug face. But who do you think was the absolute worst contestant of Season 4 and why? Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on the post notifications. And if you want to watch another mind-bending video, then make sure to check out this next post right here. It's even crazier.